So first of all, I want to say that it is my second time in my life that I speak in English in front of, and I had a translation here. I try to read it.
Don't worry, I'm here.
Okay. And I want to begin this meeting with a story that happened 5 years ago to a sweet little 3-year-old boy who was born prematurely in the 6 months of his pregnancy, weighing less than 700 grams, or something like this. He had a birth defect and suffers from CP. His cognitive skills are perfectly fine. He talks, he responds, but his physical condition was very difficult. He couldn't sit and, of course, could not stand. He had trouble holding his head, and if he wasn't supported, he'd immediately fall sideways. He could hardly do anything. By chance, his parents met a riding counselor, and she suggested that they bring him for horseback riding therapy. She was confident that she could help him. For his parents and others, the idea seemed very strange. How could a boy that cannot even sit in a chair without being tied to ride on a big horse? I'm telling you this story in details because I too took part in this experiment. My job was to bring this little boy once or twice a week to a farm in Tzora. It's about 45 minutes from Jerusalem. There they had a suitable horse. I also had to make sure that there will be always 2 volunteers that will accompany him from each side that could take him off the horse if something bad will happen. During the therapy, the counselor would ride the boy in front of her, between her knees, and I would lead the horse with a rope. It was pretty exhausting in summer and winter, in heat and cold, to repeat motions that from the beginning seemed to me hopeless. To go around the field again and again while he's being rocked from side to side and nothing happened. One day, as I carried him back to the car and he held on to my shirt for the first time so as not to fall. And I felt if I received the shock, I suddenly understood that here is a breakthrough. For the first time in his life, he tried to take responsibility on his physical stability. If you want to know the name of this boy, his name is Itamar, and I want to tell you something else. He's our grandson. And because of him, or rather thanks to him, we began all this project. With the time, our grandson taught us many other things, how important it is to be patient and persevere. And even though progress is very slow and sometimes invisible, it happens and it takes place. I became more connected and began to understand. I didn't just see him sitting happily on the big horse. I saw the tense muscle begin to relax, and we have to do, and we arrived to the conclusion to do everything to enable not just him, but other children as well to receive therapy. I'll tell you another story about somebody else, a young man more than 20 years old. His name is Gena. Sharon and Galit and Rabbi Yaakov saw him. You don't know that he is, but you saw him about 2 weeks ago when you visit our farm. He was there with 5 other young men and women from the same hostel that came to our farm to ride. They have even worse luck. They have a double portion. They are blind and retarded. And Gena is one of their more difficult cases. We received a donation from a certain family and suggested the hostel to bring them to us for a few months of trial. We knew that we could not change their fate, but we thought that and hoped that we maybe that maybe the relationship with the animals could give them a few happy hours each week. Gena is completely isolated from the world. He makes meaningless sounds and constantly restlessly. But we quickly realized that something happened when he's on the horse. He often puts his head on the head of the horse and leans on him. And when he gets on the horse, he gives him When he was riding on the horse, the counselor gave him instruction during the lesson. When the counselor tells him to turn right, Yamina in Hebrew, he said Mina. And when the counselor tell him to turn left, he said Smola or Kadima, that's forward. For us, it was a natural, because like all the others, until we realized that these were the first significant words that he ever said. And not only that, but he understands and carries out what he says, turning and going forward. In the hostel, they didn't believe, and they one by one came to see that the story is true. And later, we let Gena hold the horse while standing next to him and touching him. To our surprise, when he's next to the horse, he does respond and repeats words and turns to the right direction. I was asked how it all began. Before I begin, I want to emphasize something. I'm telling you this story in plural and not in singular. Galia said it already. My wife Yael and I do everything and make all decisions together, and this is a joint project, and we know that together we are stronger than two of us alone. And the story of the farm began one Shabbat a little over 6 years ago. My wife and I went for a walk in the Jerusalem mountains. I remember exactly which mountain it was when we started to develop the dream that we'd be carrying in our heart for many years. We suddenly understood that we are not getting any younger, nor stronger, and that we'll never be rich, and we'll never have more time. And if we want to realize our dream, it is now or never. At that moment, we decided we are going to establish a place that will support and assist children with disabilities. The two of us, we stood on the mountain peak opposite the panoramic view, and we had the sense of a mission. Even though we were alone, we felt that it was festive and a significant moment in our life when we committed ourselves. And today I can say wholeheartedly two things. The first, that we are very happy that we received this decision. And the second, that we're lucky that we didn't know at that time how difficult it will be. My wife Yael was already connected to helping and giving. She's been doing it all her life. And she also worked for years in a drug rehabilitation center and later in a home of girls in distress. I came from completely different background of technical work with no connection to giving, but I had a good teacher. After we decided to establish a place for helping children, we began for looking direction. We spoke with anyone and everyone. We met people and institutions, and we did our homework, but still we weren't able to identify with any single direction. Just then, I experienced what I told you before with my grandson and the share, and we understood the direction where we are going to. So we had as our idea became more concrete, we founded a non-profit organization and began looking for a place. It was not simple because we checked every piece of ground in the Jerusalem area. From the beginning, it was clear to us that what we wanted is to work with disadvantaged populations, and therefore we needed to be nearby and accessible so that they can come in public transportation. We knew that some of the children don't have parents who can bring them with private cars because they don't have cars. We finally found the best place that we could ever dreamed, just 2 minutes away from the Malcha shopping center, but it is with a feeling of being outside the city. Then we began the difficult stage of realization, and the next thing that we needed was a donation. It is not easy to come to people with stories about ideas and beliefs and to convince them to give us a lot of money. What's more, to give them confidence that the goal of which they are contributing is possible, will remain alive and active and will not disappear with time. This was a very difficult commitment for us, perhaps even the most difficult, because with our own time and our own money we can do whatever we want, but not with the money and trust given to us by others. Yael and I spent many sleepless nights with great fear that there is no cover for our belief and that we won't be able to fulfill our promises to these donors. With the first donation, we built a stable, a part of the petting farm, a clubhouse, a classroom, kitchen, and a dining room, and we broke some horses and small animals. We began with horseback riding therapy and with a petting farm, mainly with children with physical disabilities like our grandson, and children with emotional and behavioral disabilities. But our dream was much bigger. We didn't want just to be another farm of riding therapy, but a place with much more. There are many farms in Israel. Some of them are amazing. Whoever can pay receive their services. But we wanted a place especially for those children who were dealt and unlucky and twice. They were disabled or physically or emotionally, and they were born to families without means. This was an enormous pretension, and we didn't know if it had a chance. Yes. Today, more than 230 children come to our farm each week, half of whom come free of charge or subsidized fees. The first group that came to us for free was a class of children with CP from the ultra-Orthodox rehabilitation kindergarten in north part of Jerusalem. I visited the kindergarten many times. I shared the children's fears of new experiences. I saw how hard and scary it is for them even to sit on an unfamiliar chair. Suddenly I felt that this is the place, and with these children we'll have our first breakthrough. I don't know if you're familiar with the ultra-Orthodox Jews. People used to say that if they were seen walking a dog, either the dog is not a dog or the Jew is not a Jew. And here I came to convince them to be assisted by animals. I wanted to convince people that most likely never even petted a dog or a cat in their lives to bring their children to experience something so remote from their lives. I asked them to agree that their children with a severe CP, children who cannot stand or sometimes even not sit alone, will ride a real horse, big enormous horse that weighs maybe 30 times as much as their children. To be honest, I didn't really believe that it would work, but to my surprise, they came. The first time was traumatic. I don't know if the children were afraid of the horses or if the caretakers who accompanied them transmitted their fears. But believe me, the first day there was a lot of crying, and as a result, we feared that they won't return the following week. But they returned, and slowly something happened and changed, and we all learned. Maybe the one who learned the most was a little boy with red side locks named Shloimi. Shloimi was able to walk by himself using a cane. He walked shakily, but with enough confidence to advance unassisted. At the kindergarten, they wanted to teach him to go downstairs by himself, but he was afraid. For months, he stubbornly refused to try even one stair. He screamed until they gave up. And one day, after he returned to the kindergarten from riding at our farm, the teacher saw him in the middle of the staircase going down alone from the second to the first floor, holding on the banister all by himself. Of course, there was a lot of commotion, excitement, and this was the major breakthrough. He couldn't express in words what he got from the farm, but we believe that he internalized the sense that if he can ride on a big horse, then what is the big deal with few little stairs? Since then, 4 years have passed, and children from that kindergarten come to us every week, not just one group, but 3. And if we were able, they would send us even 4 or 5 classes. When we began looking for staff, we realized that the workers need to be special people with big hearts and souls. Our head riding counselor is called Mush. He had all kind of experiences in his life, including working as skipper and crossing the ocean several times on a sailboat. But the event that changed his life was becoming ill with cancer. He went through a very difficult period, and according to him, the thing that most helped him to cope was his relationship with horses. He decided that as soon as he'd completely recover, he'd learn riding therapy in order to give this wonderful tool to others. And that's what he did ever since, and with great success. A short while ago, a new group of children came to us, most of them with high levels of ability, and only one, a girl named Odaya, was wheelchair-bound. Her body was encased in a plastic covering, like armor. Odaya was very disappointed that she couldn't ride. She sat in her wheelchair and watched the others, and it was hard for her. We have an old pony named Bilby, and Mush brought her over to Odaya. She petted her, gave her some straw to eat, but that wasn't enough to her. She wanted to do something. And then Mush gave her a job, to bring the Bilby to the stable. Mush walked the chair, Odaya led the pony with a rope, and she was so happy that they went back and forth from the field to the stable several times. And this gave rise to a new idea, to bring the pony to children that cannot come to her because they are in the hospital, so that they can have a different kind of visitors. Since we don't have a cart for transporting horses, I suggested that we try to get the pony into my commercial van. The truth is that we were afraid she wouldn't want to get in, and that there will be a problem. But maybe because my van looks inside like a stable, Bilby, the pony, cooperated and got in immediately. And we went to the Shaare Tzedek hospital. The problem were at the entrance, when the guard, maybe justly, didn't want to let us in. Who brings horses to an hospital? It was very moving to go among the children, to let those who could ride and those who couldn't ride to pet her. But there at the hospital, the end was very unexpected high point. On our way out of the 6th floor, we passed by a club room for elderly invalids. One of them saw us and called out, and soon we were in the club room with the pony. They were so excited that we decided to give them something to do. We quickly cut the remaining carrot that were into small pieces, so they will be enough for everyone, and we left a few pieces to the Filipinian caretakers that were with them to feed the pony. It was quite a sight to see how they were excited, like small children. Those who could walk stood in line to pet the pony, and others approached in their wheelchairs. Elderly people burst out in relief laughter when the pony ate the carrot from their end and not their end. When we began our organization, we were 2. Today, we have a staff of 14 workers, 3 national service workers, and many, many volunteers. Some of the workers study fields related to riding therapy or animal-assisted therapy, such as psychology, social work, or special education. And this is noticeable in their attitudes toward the children. I think that the characterize them is giving that the reason that they choose their field of studies, and that's how they relate to those who come to the farm. Because there are often 2, 3, or 4 people with each child when he rides, we realized that we couldn't afford the high cost of a large staff, and that we must rely on volunteers. The beginning, like all beginnings, was very difficult, but now they are an integral part of the staff. Each volunteer has his own reason for coming, but what they all have in common is a desire to help and to give. Maybe the most striking example is a group of high school graduates who deferred their military service for 1 year in order to volunteer. And only then will they fulfill their obligation to the country and to go to the army. One of these volunteers is an Ethiopian girl from Beersheba. She's an amazing with the work with the children. They all love her. And children cannot be fooled by smiles. They know right away who really cares. But for us, she's also, to a certain extent, a symbol of change and hope. She's no longer a new immigrant searching for her path in the new country. Someone who needs help and support. She is strong and had crossed the lines to the side of giver and supporter. 3 years ago, a young man from a drug rehabilitation center came to us. Someone from the center would phone us the minute he got on the bus, so that someone of the farm will wait and that he will not disappear on the way. That was the beginning of our relationship with him. I'll skip over everything that happened in between, straight to what happens now. For the past few months, he's been working at a mini market in the gas station on the road to Eilat. He has a one-room apartment that he pays for it, a salary and plans for the future. He went on his own initiative to an institute for educational guidance and is finding his way in life. When he came to us, we accepted him as he was. We didn't ask about his past. We related to him as he is and not as he was in the past. We weren't judgmental, and we didn't put pressure on him. With time, he learned, got stronger. He became one of the staff. He was a paid worker for the last 1.5 years until he felt that he was ready to leave the hot house and find himself outside in the big world. He had other friends from that period awakened in us and the belief that if we succeeded with them, we succeed with others. And we began a project that we call it the Youth Project, connected to street youth. We understood that for this isolated youth, the slightest deviation from the norm that someone else with a strong social and family back could avoid become a crooked obstacle path. Sometimes, at the first collision, another downfall awaits them. These youth experience failure, gaps, and clashes with the establishment. They don't manage with their families or with authority, and because of their past experiences, they have no faith in adults. As a result, they usually drop out of school, eventually become a burden on society, and often become involved in crime. We strongly believe that these youth can be rehabilitated. We also see in them wasted human potential that can, if they only believe in themselves and their abilities, rehabilitate themselves and even become leaders for others and break out of the cycle of risk and distress. Our next dream in the farm is to establish a bigger center so that we will be able to accept more children and youth, and so that we won't have to reject all those who need or want to participate but cannot. I want to share with you another area that occupied us and is related to our grandson Itamar, that I told you is a CP. When Itamar was 3 years old, we wanted to give him a birthday present, more independence. As part of their therapy, children like him needed to stand several times a day. Since they can't stand alone, they are placed upright in a stand there. with straps and supports to straighten their skeleton and quicken their blood circulation. My idea was to add to each side of the stander a pair of large wheels, like the wheels of the wheelchairs, so the child can propel himself until the day Itamar could only play with what people would hand to him, and he needed other people's help for anything he did. Just like Geppetto, who carved a piece of wood and created Pinocchio, so I did try to create a wooden gift for my little grandson and created this mobile stander. When he had learned to move the wheels, the whole world opened for him. He could go wherever he wanted, open drawers, take books off the shelves, and play with other children, looking them straight in the eyes. And when I created more and more accessory for my grandson, I realized how much I could improve the quality of his life, so I decided to do the same for other children as well. Because we are personally acquainted with the difficulties involved with raising children with special needs, we started to look for ways to make it easier for them. It entailed never-ending work and cost a lot of money that most families don't have. Since most children don't have a grandfather that can go to the garage after work and create special chairs and carts, they have to buy whatever exists in stores and pay a lot of money. I realized that I must find a way to build equipment that will improve the quality of those children's lives, and to find a way to do it efficiently, comfortably, and inexpensively. Today, we have tens of models that aid children in standing, sitting, and mobility. Because I believe that each child with special needs has its own special needs, I try to accommodate each child according to his needs. Today, our equipment can be found in many rehabilitation institutions, children's hospitals, and private homes. So I want to end with a story about a special child and a special chair, a story that ties together our equipment and our farm. One day, I was invited to the Schneider Children's Hospital in Petah Tikva to help a 2-year-old child. He had severe disabilities. He had no arms, and his hand came out of his shoulders from him. I know that this is hard to hear, this description. It is even harder to see, and it is hardest of all to be this child. He was with his adoptive mother. She asked if I could do something to help him to sit and maybe even play. I measured the child and returned home with a heavy heart. At the same time, we met an amazing American Jewish family. They visited our farm several times, heard about our project, took part in all kinds of activities, sometimes volunteered with the children, and asked many questions. One day, the father came along and asked if we'd agree to change the name of our organization. I said that it's okay with me if it will help the children, and he left. The next day, he returned and proposed a deal. He'll give us $80,000 a year for 10 years, a sum that would cover the cost of weekly therapy for approximately 35 children, if we call the farm Grandpa Jack. After his grandfather, who died many years ago, he added that he's willing to contribute on conditions that we relate to it like a business with mutual commitments. We would have three obligations: to end the sign in the entrance that said Grandpa Jack, to keep in an obvious spot a container with cans, the kind with the bent head that his grandfather had, so that if someone needs help walking, we can offer him a cane and he can even take it home if he wants. And the final condition is to keep a bottle of whiskey, the kind that his grandfather liked to drink, in a closed cabinet. If someone over the age of 21 wants to drink in his memory, we'll give him a small glass. It's hard to describe my excitement at that moment. I sat down and couldn't say a word. I was in a shock. It had been such a difficult period for us. For nearly 4 years, we didn't take salaries because we didn't know how we'd feed the horses the next day. And suddenly, our dream came true. We'll be able to accept children from disadvantaged families without asking for payment. That same day, I was to meet the little boy, adoptive mother, and bring the chair that I built. It was a corner chair with a slanting table and raised borders all around. The idea was that with a small kick, the distant object would slide over to where he could grab them. I didn't know if it would work and if it'd catch on. When we met, as we set the child in his new chair, and his mother placed her keychain on the table, I don't know how it happened, but the minute he caught on the principle of kicking, he began to play with the keys. When they moved away, he slid them back. When his mother saw it, she turned to me and said, "You know, I think this is the first time in his life that he takes something that he chose to take, and not something that someone else gave him." I must admit that I couldn't restrain myself, and when I turned to her, I saw that she too was crying. I came home in the afternoon very excited and told my wife Yael what had happened. I added that I really don't know what moved me more, the big donation that we received for the farm, or what happened with this child. Thank you. יש לי כמה דברים להראות, אני לא יודע, להראות תמונות.
Do you have any questions you want to ask? Only a few questions, and then we will be able to see some of them. אני חושבת שהדברים הגדולים מעץ, זה יכולים לראות?
Only the steels. Yes.
Meanwhile, you can ask questions if you have.
You don't have to.
I will try. You didn't give me a chance to translate. Your English is better than mine. I'm out of the job.
So, I'm trying to envision how you're able to get these children onto the horses. Do you have a special lift?
Most of them will carry by, but we have a special lift, yes, for the adults. Yes, yes. Most of them are very small. You'll see a few pictures here just to have an idea how it looks like. The other one, for the children. This is our grandson when he was about 6 years old. And this is Gena, the blind, and the next one, and his friend. Yeah. And this is Moishele, the red. Yeah. And this is one of the girls in his kindergarten. Yes, you can go on. And you see how here are 3 people around a child with has problems with his hand. You can just move them on. This is in the pet corner. You can change them. Ma? You can move them one after the others. We don't see. And here is Odaya, the girl that I told you that all her friends were inside. I don't know if you see it with the pony. And she plays with him. And here she takes him with the rope to the stable. And she decided it is not enough for her. So we came down again and again and again. And these are children of, I don't know, children that were taken from home by order of court. They had many, many problems. And we just go one after the other till the end. And you say he needs somebody that will embrace him. Every time he comes, the first thing is with the dog. These are retarded children. Feeling to be on a horse is completely different. You see the world from a... Yes. Yes.
Yeah. How did you get the little pony up way high? Did he walk up the steps?
No, there is a lift. If you can bring inside the...
He didn't get scared in the lift.
No. If you went to my car, you went to the lift also. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
And it's just a... This is a model of the standard with the wheels. Everything can change. Just show them one after the other, just to see the equipment, that the wheelchair with tables, that everything is changing.
Danny, you make shoes.
Yes.
You alone? You
Yes,
have help, a little help?
I plan them on the computer, and then we cut them in a laser, and then we will put them together.
Do you have many people helping you?
No, because we don't have too many, but we want slowly to...
I see. That's the way they can stand up. They can sit up straight instead of sloping over.
Everyone needs something. Everyone needs something special, and everything is moving. For example, they sit on the what's the name in English. So instead of pushing them fast, they can be very quiet by themselves. This is like a bed that. So I'll not enter into details. Okay.
This is extremely important for somebody who is completely cannot do anything.
Children that can do, they just fell down and they have to stand for a while. So we put it flat. We put the children on it, and we tie him his legs, his knees, and here everything. And when he's all tight, we change slowly the angle until he stands, and we give him a table, yes, and he can play on it. And this is a stand there with a table that hold. These are for the legs, it's for the knees, and this is for this part. It's something different for a stand there for the head also. Front stand there. So we don't have to say everything, just to have an idea.
Do the horses respond differently to the retarded children than normal children?
They feel.
There's a sense that
If you're strong, they try to fight against you, to show you with the boss. But with the small children, they are very, very calm. Yes. So that's it. Thank you.
it's most interesting. But Yael, we didn't hear from you. Oh, well, we have a translator. That was great. Thank you, Danny. That was very special, really. Kol hakavod.
Now we can all come to visit you.
Good.
We can help and volunteer and help a little bit.
Great. Anything else? Any other questions for Danny? Questions, comments? Doug?
Has he considered adding in working with Yad Sarah? Yes. They both
Hmm.
tell you, they will wait till they get from the government to improve it. Otherwise, you cannot sell things. That it's safe and so on.
Oh, yeah, it's a patent, yeah.
It's a question of
Procedure.
can take can take years. Meanwhile, the child needs it, so this is what the problem is.
All your support is private support? Do you don't get any government help, or do you? It's just private support, okay. What, if anybody wants to visit you, what are your hours?
It's open from 7 in the morning till 8 in the night.
Oh, wow, okay. Right, of course.
We won't all come at once.
No. You open on Shabbat or not? No, okay. All right, yeah. No, okay. So you're open not only to retarded, but anybody that wants to come and ride, right? Or just retarded? Just handicapped. Oh, okay. Oh, all right, okay.
No, local